So after a game like last night, where a Tristan Thompson and one put the Cavaliers up 60 points, which I need to take a second and just kind of reflect back on what I just said, because I don't think any of us truly understand how insane a sentence that is. A Tristan Thompson and one put the Cavs up 60 points in a playoff game versus the Heat in the year 2025. That sounds AI generated. It truly does. And I mean, in any year, that would be crazy, but especially in 2025, when Tristan Thompson should have retired like 10 years ago. So after a game like that, after a loss that literally had me wearing a paper bag over my head in the post-game video, because I was so ashamed to be a Heat fan. I was ashamed to root for this team. I was ashamed that I believed in Tyler Hero. And it's just insane to think that where Heat fans were 2 years ago in the playoffs.
Let's go! Let's go, baby, we're going! Turn me up! Turn me up!
We were there celebrating a trip to the NBA Finals for the second time in like 3 years. And even if you don't want to go back 3 years ago, go back to like a week ago. Cheese sticks, hate the Knicks, Terry Bricks, them picks, man. Go back to my post-game video where I was going crazy celebrating a play-in win, which I get it, it's a play-in win, but that was fun. And at the time, which was just a week and a half ago, it looked like we had a competent, dare I say, well-rounded team with a couple of cornerstones in Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo. That's because I'm a damn fool. Hey, listen, you're also a damn fool if you're not subscribed, which is 56.8% of y'all, which is crazy. Make sure y'all subscribe to fix that. Let's get back into the video. So it really makes you wonder what the hell went wrong with this team, and truly, where did it go wrong, right? Because in my Heat fandom, which is going on like 15 years now, I started watching every single game since 2010. This is probably the lowest that we've been. Now, you could say the worst teams was that Dion Waiters-led team that started 11-30, finished 30-11, meaning they actually won more regular season games than the Heat did this year, even though that team ended up missing the playoffs. But that team wasn't supposed to be good. And at least that season kind of ended fun. It ended on a high note with that hot streak they had to finish the year, although they missed the playoffs. And I know there was a lot of bad things about that team. You really had no direction. You had no young assets, no one to build around. Although Goran Dragic was still there, they had my guy Whiteside, but we know how that worked out. But that team wasn't supposed to be good. This Heat team, while we were never expecting them to be contenders or anything, they weren't supposed to be this bad. They weren't supposed to be the largest defeat in playoff history bad, for a whole series. Literally, the worst point differential for any team in the history of the NBA playoffs. They weren't supposed to be that bad. And on top of that, you had all the drama this season with your third best player in franchise history, Jimmy Butler. He's leaving. He's over there having success in Golden State right now. You have all these dilemmas right now. Did you overpay Bam Adebayo? Are you going to pay Tyler Hero? You have no assets to get any star and just really no way to improve the team. That's where we sit right now. And it's probably my lowest point as a Heat fan, since I started watching back in 2010. Now, obviously, there's been some bad losses, the 2011 finals and among other finals losses and whatnot, but those were in the finals. This is truly embarrassing, pitiful, humiliating. That's what it is. It's truly humiliating what happened to the Miami Heat last night. So it really has me wondering what the hell went wrong. Now, we know that the national media won't discuss this because the national media is terrible. I mean, if you tuned into ESPN today, you would have seen Carlos Boozer talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo needs to go to the Lakers because that's what ESPN now is nowadays. They get personalities on there and they say, get in there and try to make it about the Lakers. And a discussion that has nothing to do with the Lakers whatsoever. So y'all know I'm not really tuned into the national media whatsoever, although Stephen A. Smith did say this.
The change has to start with Pat Riley. It's time.
Now, I think that was a bit dramatic by Stephen A. It's not like Pat Riley's dying, so his tone was a bit too somber there, but I do agree with his overall point, right? I mean, it's probably time for Pat Riley to go, and that's not me disrespecting him. Obviously, I can be very critical of him in the way that him and the rest of the front office has handled this Jimmy Butler era. It's obviously been a failure, and a lot of that is because of the lack of moves that the front office has made, and then the moves they did make, which weren't great, but we've spent plenty of time talking about that. But all that being said, I respect Pat Riley. I respect everything he's brought to this organization over the last 35 plus years, but it's not crazy to tell a 80-year-old that he should probably retire. Now, I know a lot of Heat fans are kind of clamoring to maybe promote Spo. That's their way of saying fire him as a coach. Just kind of put him in the front offense, a la what the Celtics did with Brad Stevens, like 5 years back now. But I'm not really for that. I kind of still want to see Spo to be the coach, although he had a terrible season. I want to see him work through that and try to get better next year. But I do think Pat Riley should step down. And whether that means bringing in someone else, I know Bob Myers is out there from the Warriors. You got a bunch of teams trying to get him. But even if it means kind of, letting Pat Riley go off in Malibu and enjoy the rest of his days with his wife, and promoting, Andy Ellisberg or Adam Simon and giving some of the internal guys more of a role, I think that's beneficial too. Now, a lot of Heat fans might say, hey, this front office has been so terrible. How is promoting from within going to change anything? And I do believe that Pat Riley just has a really old school mindset. And although he's not the sole voice when it comes to making decisions, I do believe he has the final say as the president of basketball operations. And I think his old school methods and playing hardball doesn't really work nowadays. You can't just drop their bag of rings on the table like he did with Ray Allen and expect players to flock to come to you. It doesn't work like that no more. And we always go back to the Damian Lillard thing. Yes, Joe Cronin is a bum asshole for life. Y'all knew it was coming. I always say it. But I do think Pat Riley played a bit of a role in Damian Lillard not coming here. Because I do think he tried to play a little bit too hardball. I think he tried to get too cute. And when Dame said he wanted to come here, I think Pat Riley was like, hey, take Nikola Jovic in a second-round pick and give us Dame. Sorry, it doesn't work like that. Like, even when Anthony Davis said, send me to the Lakers and the Lakers only, the Lakers still had to give up Brandon Ingram and Josh Hart and Lonzo Ball. You still got to give to get, no matter how hard a star demands your team. And I just think coming in and playing hardball from the start, that kind of old school stubbornness that Pat Riley has, I don't think that's the best way to run an organization. And I think having someone a little bit younger with the final say, whether it's Andy or Adam Simon or a mixture of other guys in the front office, Nick Harrison, who knows, I do think that could be more beneficial to the Miami Heat. So it's hard to think anything different after a loss last night, though, right? In terms of Stephen A. Smith saying Pat Riley should retire. So it's hard to disagree on anything else, right? But after a loss like that, I do like to scour the local media and kind of check in and see how everyone is feeling. Now, of course, I always listen to the local coverage of this team because I think we should all support Heat content creators because they're all working very hard. And although we disagree oftentimes, we are Heat fans at the end of the day. I think there's too much animosity and turmoil amongst different Miami sports networks or Miami sports content creators just because we disagree. And I think it's stupid. Like, we're Heat fans. We all want the same end goal. Now, we may disagree on how to get there, but we all want the same thing at the end of the day. And I think that's kind of the beauty of the Heat content creation community is there's a bunch of different voices who feel different ways, and it leads to positive discussion if done properly. It leads to every fan having a network or person that they could listen to because they more so agree with their ideology or way of presenting information. And I just think that's a beautiful part of the community. Although many of us disagree, we all want the same end goal, right? I guess, so to speak, like that. But all of that being said, after a loss last night, there is no disagreement amongst Heat fans or Heat content creators. I mean, I listened to almost everyone after the game last night. Let's start with the Locked On Heat podcast. David Ramil, Wes Goldberg, two of the most realistic, professional guys out there. Very sad. Wes Goldberg, sad. David Ramil, angry. You can even go on to the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Some of the most positive guys out there. You got my guy Major Passons. Oh no, he not no optimistic sunshine pumper no more. You can't do it. Even Greg Sylvander, who we know tends to lean to the optimistic side, not a single positive thing to say yesterday. You could go over to the YouTube side. All my boys over here, we'll talk about my guy Ernest, Miami Heat Talk. Y'all know he's the leader of optimism over here on the YouTube side of things. Even he was still, positive in life because it's just basketball. But there's no sticking up for what the Miami Heat did last night. We can go over to the Basement Sports Network. We had like an hour and a half post-game show yesterday. Shout out to all my friends on there. But you got Stone, dejected. One of the most, he wakes up every morning and snorts Heat culture. He was dejected yesterday. You got my girl Jess. She had no positive things to say at all. We're just all sat and down. We'll go to my guy, leader at the helm, PG #1, Royal A. Shepherd, who is known as one of the most optimistic and positive Heat fans in the space. A true Tyler Hero stan, a guy that's believed in Tyler through his ups and downs. And then to see Tyler struggle last night the way that he did, Royal, who's usually optimistic and happy, smiling, happy-go-lucky type, he was sad yesterday. And it was sad to see. Even y'all know my Heat or Miami sports content creator, GOAT, Tobin, he brought out the bottle of liquor yesterday, which he usually does after hard losses. Sometimes he'll take a swig at the beginning. He was taking a few sips throughout the video just to kind of cope with the pain, because that's how tough a loss that it was. Everybody, for like the first time ever, just agreed that this team sucks. Everybody was just like, what the bleep? Because that's what happens after your team goes down by 60 points. Luckily, they went on a 5-0 run to end the game, or they would have had the worst single game loss in playoff history, which would have been funny because for the longest time, the Heat had the biggest regular season loss in playoff history to the Cavs. It was 68 points until just a few years back, Memphis won by like 73 versus the Thunder. But like, the Cavs got our number. How is that even possible? It's funny to think back that this is the first time the Heat actually played the Cavs in the playoffs, because I would have loved to see that happen. Actually, back in that year, the 2017 year, was that the 30-11 year? Because the Heat were on fire to end the season. And I thought they could have given that Cavs team a run for their money who had LeBron. But it sounds ridiculous to think in hindsight, and that's probably me just drinking the Kool-Aid like I usually do. But like, Dion Waiters was looking like an all-star. Hassan Whiteside was looking like the best center in the league. Goran Dragic was looking like all-NBA Goran Dragic. But it didn't happen then. Ended up playing the Cavs, obviously, this time, and got our ass kicked as many people expected. Now, a lot of people wanted to make the playoffs. A lot of people didn't. I did not want to make the playoffs. I wanted to keep that pick. I'm not going to sit here and do a whole I told you so parade like a lot of people are doing, because I think that's counterproductive. What's the point of me sitting here and saying I told you so? I'm going to be wrong just as many times as I'm right, probably more. So doing a whole party to celebrate me being correct about something I did not want to be correct about, I don't like doing that. It feels kind of nasty to me. If you're watching this video, then you are an elite ball knower, so why not take advantage of it with MyBookie? Listen, y'all, throughout the NBA playoffs, I'll be using their live betting feature to smash the Davion Mitchell overs and smash the Rudy Gobert unders, and then using their early cash out option to stack up the profits. If you want to do the same, make sure to sign up for MyBookie using promo code MM50, which will instantly boost your first deposit. And then once the games wrap up, you can check out their casino, which has blackjack and slots and roulette. You name it, bet on anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. Now let's get back into the video. But even outside of how all the local coverage kind of reacted to yesterday, I was more so curious to see how the players would react. I mean, you got a guy like Tyler Hero, who before the game said, we're not going out 4-0. And that's exactly what Tyler Hero did, because he literally scored 4 points. He was 4 points and out because he had the first 3 points of the game, hit a 3 in the first 30 seconds, then didn't have another field goal. I guess he had a free throw later on. So he literally was 4 and out. And I just wondered how the hell these players could possibly respond after a loss like that. After, Hero saying they're not going to go down, and just, I don't know. I don't even know how I would respond if I was a player. I'm probably the type of guy that would go into the media after the game and just start cursing everyone out, because I'd be so hot-headed in the moment. I don't know if I could control myself. And maybe that's why we didn't hear a lot of players talk yesterday. We mostly just heard from Bam and Spo, which we'll get into. But tomorrow is the day that I'm actually very curious about, because the exit interviews are actually being live streamed to the Heat's YouTube channel tomorrow at noon. So y'all know we will definitely have a video reacting to that tomorrow. I wonder if Pat Riley will talk. I don't think so, just because I saw some people saying that last year Pat doesn't speak at these exit interviews. He speaks a few days later. That's when we heard the whole keep your mouth shut Jimmy Butler comment. So I don't think Pat is speaking tomorrow. So we'll get that at some point in the future, which obviously I'm more curious to hear about. But as far as yesterday, we did get some quotes. The most viral one was Bam Adebayo saying that there will be some changes made. And here's exactly what Bam had to say.
I don't know. It's going to be a lot of changes this summer. Just from my point of view, understanding how, the guy with the silver hair works. So just be prepared for that.
And I really like this quote by Bam because he's kind of calling out Pat Riley. Maybe not calling him out. He's sort of doing it in a respectful way, saying, we know how that silver fox likes to operate. He don't play no games, which that's kind of all he's been doing the last few years is playing games because he really hasn't gotten anyone besides Terry Rozier. But I also think he was calling out Pat Riley, I guess, in a way to say, we need help. Get us help. Because I think Pat Riley needs to be called out more. And whether it's by his players or whoever, I don't think Bam Adebayo should just sit there all idly and just be like, oh, whoop-de-doo, maybe you give me someone, maybe you don't. Next thing you know, you blink and Bam Adebayo's 34 without a championship. Bam Adebayo has so many friends in the league who are superstars that the Heat have tried to get. Kevin Durant, Donovan Mitchell, Damian Lillard, Bradley Beal, and the Heat have got none of them. Obviously, I'm not blaming them for the Bradley Beal stuff, but I'm just saying Bam has friends that you know he would like to play with. And if the Heat keep striking out on all of them, obviously Bam's going to get mad. And at what point do we sit here and say, damn, maybe Bam's the one who's going to leave? We sit here as Heat fans, we talk about Giannis and Anthony Edwards and Trae Young and Ja Morant and Kevin Durant and all these guys that might be available this offseason. Zion Williamson. We're going to have videos on all of those guys throughout the offseason. It's going to be a good one, so make sure y'all subscribe so you don't miss it. But at what point does Bam get added to that list because he's frustrated that the Heat can't build a contender around him? Yes, they've got to the finals a couple of times, but they were long shots both the times they got there, you know. And now they decided not to pay Jimmy Butler, who's the guy that obviously had a big say in getting there. I know a lot of people will want to hear Pat Riley's response on this. Everyone's saying, oh, the reporter should grill Pat Riley when he speaks, but they're not going to. They're going to throw him a bunch of softballs. I don't think that's the case. I think the reporters, for the most part, do a good job asking the questions that need to be asked. But it's kind of pointless when you're talking about, I guess, Spo and Riley, because they rarely ever say anything, more so Spo. But it's like Pat Riley, to the hard questions, he will give you the coach speak answer. He's been a coach for the long time. And that's kind of what you heard from Eric Spoelstra yesterday, too. I mean, a couple of quotes from him were, as an organization, we will look at this and say this is unacceptable. What I loved about this group is how badly they wanted to get in this dance, and that's something. Which, the way that he played in the play-in, it looked like they wanted to win, but based off how they performed in the last game, it looked like they want to be there. So I'm very confused on that too. And Spo goes on to say that these last two playoff games were embarrassing. But again, that's coach speak stuff. He's mad. Like, he's not going to address it. He's not going to throw anyone under the bus. And I do respect that about Spoelstra. I mean, those should probably be behind closed doors. Even though Pat Riley told Jimmy Butler to keep his mouth shut. And I didn't necessarily hate it at the time. My point is, no matter how hard a question you ask Spo, he's going to give you coach speak. Most of the time, same with Pat Riley, unless he's trying to deliver a message to his players to get better. You know, he delivered a message to Jimmy Butler. Jimmy didn't like it. He asked out. He delivered a message to Tyler Hero about staying healthy. Tyler answered the bell. He did stay healthy. But I don't know. Hopefully he gets questions asked about Jimmy Butler too, because as Heat fans, just to put the icing on the cake of our misery last night, Jimmy Butler last game dominated the fourth quarter as the Warriors went up 3-1. He had 14 fourth quarter points. The rest of the Warriors only had 13. And then to end it, Jimmy Butler said in his post-game press conference that he got his joy back, which
I got my joy back, as some would say.
Isn't that just nice to see as Heat fans? But anyways, that's really all I got to say for this video. Make sure to let me know all your thoughts down below. If you want to give me some additional thoughts of yours, head over to Twitter. That's at AnthonyD_Heat, because on my page, I posted like a whole thread of like a Miami Heat fan poll, basically asking a bunch of questions from, should Tyler Hero get traded? How many first round picks is he worth? Should Spo get fired? I have about like a 10 tweet thread, and I kind of want to make a video based off that in the coming week or so, just kind of gauging how the fans feel, and then also sharing my opinion on a lot of these answers. So if you want to be involved, potentially be a part of a future video, head over to Twitter and answer those polls for me. Make sure to leave some replies explaining your votes as well. But yeah, that's all I got to say. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. All that support is greatly appreciated, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out, everyone.
Look, pull up in your city, tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.